Happen right now? Let's roll them. Good evening and welcome to Anatomy of an Entrepreneur. Frank, do you want to give me, do you want to keep this on or do you want to go to one of the close-ups? Oh, I don't have a close-up, do I? Unless, yeah. Okay, so I don't have a close-up tonight. We didn't think that one through, did we? It's okay. We can figure it all out. We have a fantastic show tonight. We didn't get to the pre-show. We were very busy working on some new things, which you'll see on Beyond the Game later. And then speaking of Beyond the Game, I have two friends of mine on, Mike and Corey Winkoff, who operate one of the most prestigious lacrosse teams and events business. Is that what you would call it, Corey?
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, I have these folks on. They are Mike and Corey of Beyond the Game. They have their own show here on the Streamcast Network. And as I've gotten to know them, their business just seems to evolve like crazy. I mean, they do all kinds of events. They train student athletes. They have all kinds of clinics. There's just so much that they do. But somehow they got into the media business, and I'm not sure how, and we're going to get into that tonight. So let me, without further ado, welcome Mike and Corey Winkoff. How you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for having us.
I wanted to have you, not more of a question and answer, but I wanted us to have a conversation. That's why we set up the set like this tonight. So it's more of like us kind of like chewing the fat and talking about what you've done. First of all, why don't you guys just tell us a little bit about FLG, your business first?
I'll let Corey discuss the brand because he's been a big part of building the brand over the last 8 years.
Yeah, so I think our company has gone from being like something that just helps develop and give opportunity to boys and girls who might want to play lacrosse in college. We do that by having club teams and coaching them up year-round and just kind of guiding them through a process and through our experience. So I think our company has one segment of the business that focuses on what we call the teams, as you mentioned earlier. And then another area of our business would be the events. So we started maybe just with one local little event back in the day that might have been a summer camp or maybe a local youth tournament. And it's grown to doing an upwards of 10 different lacrosse events throughout the year, some of which are just run through our brand FLG Lacrosse. Some are joint ventures with other really big, respected companies on both the boys and girls side in the world of lacrosse. And then another aspect of our business, as you mentioned, this is kind of an evolution, something we didn't really expect or foresee happening when we started this whole thing, is the media side of our business. And we have a couple brands within it, one of which you've helped us build, which is Beyond the Game, our live stream show. That's a huge part of the media side of things. That's really helped us educate and promote and just do a lot of really cool collaborations and things that create opportunities for us in the world that we live in, which is lacrosse. And then we also have our Long Island Lacrosse Journal, which is a huge brand that covers pretty much every possible platform you can think about on the media side of things. So that's exploded as well, which we can talk about a little bit tonight.
Mike, I know you're shy, so you just jump in whenever you feel like it.
Yeah. Well, I learn a lot from obviously Corey because a lot of these things, I knew what a website was before Corey got involved, but
well, he couldn't write.
Yeah, the live stream show and the digital magazine and all the things. Now we're doing a podcast. I mean, all of those things.
You do it so much.
We do a lot.
Here's my first question. Do you find it awkward to talk in these microphones like this?
Well, I'm a millennial. I feel more comfortable with these.
Do you?
Mics.
You like this better?
Yeah, I think the more stuff that's in your face and looks kind of unique and
I feel like Robin Williams in Good Morning Vietnam. That's how I feel.
Can you do an impression?
Good morning, Vietnam.
There you go. So, but media wasn't always that important in the business. It evolved, didn't it? When did you first thing is, how did you first start thinking about media, and when did you realize that the business had this different engine running?
Well, if we just kind of go back in time, I feel like, we started our other businesses out of, it was really passion. Like a lot of our projects are passion based. They were never like, hey, like let's do this because we can make a ton of money.
Yeah, but you had to make a living.
You had to, and you found ways to do that. But I think at the end of the day, like we were talking about this stuff away from the money making things just because we were passionate about it. And it wasn't until we finally it was really us coming to the conclusion, like, all right, like let's get our opinion out there, whether people agree or disagree, just because like we're passionate about it. And I think media, you can do that so easily. Like we can just flip our phone around and
why did you
start
guys
recording.
not care if people would disagree with you? And the reason I ask that is because a lot of times when people disagree, they don't realize that they're disagreeing, and they take things personally and they take offense to it. What was it in you that you didn't care that people might disagree with you?
Well, at the end of the day, everybody has an opinion. So if you have an opinion, and you want to state it, we sit around. What we do now in the public eye, we used to do privately, just to talk the game of lacrosse. We'd be talking about kids and saying, I think that kid should go to this college, and that's what we did. We helped guide kids to find the right fit for them. So now we're just doing it publicly and just talking about. And the great thing is we're talking about 99% of it is good things. We're talking about high level, athletic, smart.
Yeah. I think intent is really important, and like our intentions are always good. We always talk about like what's in the best interest of the kid, right? We constantly like reiterate that. So we think as long as we're sticking true to our mission and sharing our opinion, like it doesn't really matter what other people think, because we know that at the end of the day, like that's why we're doing this.
And you know what else? Not everybody's going to be your customer.
Sure. Yeah.
Your customers have to be like-minded.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really not about that part of our business when we're talking about the media side. It's really just talking about, like we'll talk about the top 60 seniors on Long Island, and we'll rank them, and then a parent will be upset because their kid's not on the list. There's no animosity towards that parent. We understand they love their child and they think their child's better than another child. We're just putting out a list that we think is high-level kids.
Yeah. I love that you get a chance to interact with people that maybe aren't necessarily your clients. It's like, in what other day and age can you talk to people that don't agree with you? Because a lot of times it's either like they're your customer, they're with you, or they're against you. So it's like you'll have no other conversation with that particular person.
Yeah, but obviously there are a lot of people who agree with you because you've been building a business. And I know that whenever I walk in your offices for a meeting, the people that are there, it doesn't feel like they're just customers. They love being at your office. I have noticed that.
Yeah, I think
it's like it's a cool hangout.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like that was just kind of created like naturally. Like we never really anticipated that type of vibe, but I just feel like a big part of that is like the people you work with, and then the people, like you said, that are part of your community or customers. And when you have like-minded people on both those ways, then I think it just creates like that spot where it's like, all right, let's go hang out there.
How do you carry that over to media? Because something's definitely going to get lost in translation, but at the same time, you are building a relationship with people all over the world now with that same cool factor. How do you put forth your message so that the passion comes through and people feel the same way as they do as when they're in your office?
Well, it's the same thing about you, Cliff. You're passionate about being an entrepreneur. You've been an entrepreneur pretty much your whole life, and that's what this show's about. It's the same thing we do. It's like we now have what people would classify competitors that we're very friendly with because we respect them. We respect what they're doing. I mean, we could speak about different people. Carol Rose, who started Club Lacrosse on Long Island, she's great at what she does. We respect that. Just because she's a competitor doesn't mean she's a bad person.
Right, but let's talk about the media. How do you carry that over in building relationships and carrying that same feeling through in your media?
You just have to be honest. You have to be true to, like Corey said, to your mission. If you're honest, people see that. I mean, they don't have to agree with you, but it's just your opinion.
Yeah.
Do you create controversy?
Not purposely.
Yeah.
Not purposely though.
Yeah, we
No.
do though, but we do
Yes,
create
it does happen.
controversy.
Of course you do.
It's not something we seek, but I think it's something that we create because, what we're also doing is creating a platform for other people to share their opinions. And sometimes when you do that, again, not everyone's going to agree with things that are said, and it's going to turn some people off because maybe someone speaks in what their opinion is honestly about something that has happened
It
or
happened, right?
someone else. And
How do you handle it?
well, I think it's tricky. Like we had an instance the other day where we released an article on a young man who had transferred from a school and he spoke, negatively about his experience there, and we handled it in a way that we felt was best for our platform and our brand, and we wanted to not only protect that, but we wanted to protect the people that felt offended by the article that was released. So we did everything we could to
And
preserve that.
we didn't agree with the student athlete's perspective. I didn't agree with his perspective, his opinion, because I knew the people that he was talking about, and we thought he was wrong. And part of what we want to do is we want to get everybody's opinion. It's no different than what you're seeing on the news in the morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Democrats, the Republicans, they're all sitting on two sides of an equation. It's the same thing in the world of lacrosse.
Yeah, and the media is great because you can create a conversation. You can get people's feedback, and you can create a conversation within an event, a series of events, things that have happened. And I think we didn't get to create that conversation, that dialogue, because we decided to remove the content, but that was a choice that we decided to make.
When did you first realize that the media was becoming an intrinsic and important component of the business?
I could tell you my first moment was when we went to the Mount Sinai Comsawag game. I think was that the first game we covered last year?
Yeah.
And we walked in, and it was like, we were walking into a lacrosse game that we had done for hundreds of times, and it felt like we were making a bigger impact on the Long Island lacrosse landscape. And because of that, because of their opinion,
Closer to the mic.
because of what the parents were
Right.
saying and the grandparents were saying,
Right.
that's when I realized that this was making an impact in our world.
How long ago was that?
It was only last spring,
Oh, so it was really only
last March.
but your media engine has been building way before then.
Yeah, well, we've been doing things. We've been doing magazines, and previews and things of that nature, and we've definitely seen that benefit. But I think that you start to realize that parents, grandparents, kids, start to listen to what you have to say, and I think that's good. That's part of our mission, because we want to spread the positive about what's happening on the landscape of Long Island lacrosse.
What are some of the different platforms that you're different channels and platforms that you're involved with in the media, and do they help each other? How?
So everything started on the internet with just a blog. So that blog transformed into a website that we built out that promotes all of Long Island lacrosse, schedules, scores, stats, stories, pictures, videos, everything you can think about is now on that website, which has been one of the bigger platforms that we have to share content and media. Another one is our live stream show, which we talked about, Beyond the Game. It's another huge component. That's great for bringing in, big personalities and figures in the sport, kids to share their opinions and promote successes, coaches, programs, people that are around lacrosse that may not be necessarily lacrosse people, but are involved in youth sports or maybe, spreading their mission.
When you started doing the media, you had no clue
No
that this
idea.
is what was going to happen.
No
with
idea.
it.
No idea.
You didn't know there was going to be hundreds of thousands of people who were going to be clicking on your website.
And what's a little unusual, at least it is for me, is when I show up at like a soccer game and they're treating you like a
Well, kind of like they know you.
yeah, exactly, like a little eighth grader walks over to you and like she knows you. And
what is
that's weird.
that like?
It's weird. It's like they're like looking at you and you say hello, and you don't know who they are,
Right.
and then they start to talk to you and you realize that they had seen your show or, whatever. And
Right.
at first it's like, and then you start to realize that because that's not really who we are.
Yeah,
Right.
that's happened. That's happened. Several occasions, different people coming up. But I think it's great because a lot of times, they say, hey, thanks for that one episode you did on recruiting. That really helped. I tuned in. I listened. That applied to what my daughter was going through or my son was going through. So like I like to hear that the content that you're talking about and the guests that you have on are actually helping other people because you're
Right.
educating them. So that
What's
happens too.
what's your favorite platform of anything you do?
Favorite platform?
Do you have a favorite, or do you like certain ones for certain reasons?
Yeah, definitely. They're all different in their own way. Like we haven't even talked about. We started a podcast that's just us hanging out in our office around a speaker. Like,
And what do? You just hang around and like talk about nothing?
no, we talk about a lot of the stuff that's happening locally, like Long Island high school lacrosse for the most part. That's gonna be.
We had Jimmy Montana on, who's a great influence to a lot of young people. We like to bring in, it's funny, but there's so many men and women and kids that we want them all. Like we're going to bring them like over the next 6 weeks. We're going to be interviewing a ton of kids and doing a podcast on it. And I know that younger kids and kids around the country want to hear what these people have to say, because these are the influencers in this world.
As you grow this, you have to realize that you have a profound impact on a lot of people, and that carries a gigantic responsibility for you to do the right thing.
Yeah. Well, we've had that responsibilities our entire professional lives doing this with the kids in our own community. So now we're just kind of like opening up our network to anyone to follow us and say, hey, like I'm turning to you guys for advice. So like what you say, while it may not hold as gospel, like we're listening to you, and we might take action based on what you say, and we're prepared for that because we have the experience, the expertise, and we've done it already with people in our own community. So
will you guys carry the same message to every single platform, or does the message change?
I think the message. I think the.
And why?
Yeah. So
Describe to me.
I think the message changes and how you communicate the message changes because just based on the content that you're trying to get out there, I think you adjust, but I think your purpose remains the same.
Yeah, the mission will always remain the same.
And your mission,
What's
agree.
the mission?
Well, I think
best interest of the kid.
Yeah, I think exactly. You provide.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you provide content and educate.
Describe to me how that same message changes from platform to platform.
Well, so like let's take the example of what we put on our social media versus maybe what we might put on our website. So social media, is geared around, a lot of interaction based on, maybe what's new, what's hot, what's going on, what are people talking about, what conversations are people trying to create, what just happened, like what's current. And I think, maybe our Beyond the Game show, which is a little bit different, is bringing in, important figures in the sport that have something to say and have something to say for a reason, and it's worth sharing. So, the message that we're going to get across through social media on a consistent basis, on a weekly basis throughout the year might be a little different than what we might need to communicate on one of our episodes of our live stream show or something along those lines.
Because the live stream is so immediate?
Yeah.
Because the live stream's only for an hour? Because you can give the most up-to-date information? Why?
Yeah, I think live stream it's kind of like an event. It's like, we only do this once a week. We might have someone on that we may never see for another couple of years, but like that opportunity we have with them for the half hour that we go live is a big deal, and like you should tune in for that half hour. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on a really cool opportunity.
And you could interact
to learn. And
the interaction part I think is vital. Like when we know what I've noticed on the BYG show and your shows is that we get parents. I mean, we had Jen Markey's dad on a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about his experience. He can then bring experiences to the show because he raised 2 kids that went to colleges, and his input helps other parents. Helped 2 of a young dad in our program whose daughters they're in 5th and 6th grade or 6th and 7th grade. So it's great that, these people can help each other.
So let's talk more about that, about the interaction with the live stream. Do you find that people are not only engaging with you, but they're engaging with each other?
Yep. Yeah, we've had episodes where our audience is helping one another through a topic that we've raised or an issue that we've discussed, which is pretty cool.
What about after the show?
Yeah, the conversation continues after the show. I think, in different ways. Someone might shoot an email to us talking about something that was brought up, and then the conversation continues. Someone might shoot us a phone call and say, hey, you said this, what are your thoughts on that? And I think I think that's happened in a variety of ways from what we've noticed. Or someone may make a comment on our social media feed after we post a clip from a show that we had saying, oh wow, this is a great point, thank you, I'm going to share with my team or my school or my community.
Right.
So that happens
So
for sure.
our world, people that do what we do, then take the platforms that we're utilizing and they share it with their platforms, which could just be their client base,
Yeah.
or their friends,
Right.
or whoever. And now everybody's helping everybody. I mean, isn't that a positive thing for life? I mean, I can't watch the news in the morning because I can't find something positive to watch.
It's rough.
It is. So I turn to sports because it's like, okay, this is more positive. A team won, the team lost, but it's highlights. Well, our show, I hope, is positive. We're talking about what parents should do, how you should parent. I mean, Corey and I spent the half hour on the way here talking about how parents handle adversity. Like, we talked about how he handles it with his 21-month-old. And then you have parents that we deal with that don't want their children disappointed. Well, that's life. We all go through disappointing things in life.
Right.
You have to teach your children how to deal with disappointment.
You were talking about your stuff gets shared to more than one platform, and I know. Tell me about the Lax Sports Network. I know that your show is on Lax Sports Network. How did that all happen? I know that is created by the founders of New Balance.
Yeah, the original. Yes, the network was created. Rob Wallace, who's the CEO of that company, he was in the TV business, and they hired him over to start it. And it's a free platform. And I met him. I reached out to him when I saw he started it. I loved the platform. This is 3 years ago, before we had anything that we're talking about today. And then over the years, our relationship grew. And he's been great promoting the things we do, and we try to promote the things he does. It's a great mutual relationship.
So your relationships are not only interactive exchanges, but also the community helps each other on the platforms.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, well, I can't help you, you're a competitor of mine.
Yeah.
Everybody helps. It sounds like people help each other in your community.
Yeah, generally our community is usually very tight knit, and they work together. I think part of what we wanted to do with the LALJ and the BYG show.
And can you explain, after you're done, explain what the LALJ is? But go ahead.
The Long Island Lacrosse Journal, which is a preview magazine, digital magazine on every Long Island boys and girls program, and the LALJ website, which is what Corey explained earlier, was a way to promote high school athletes in the sport of lacrosse. The problem with the club scene is everybody's kind of not working together. So here's a way where we could work with all the kids, and it doesn't matter where that young man or young woman plays their club ball. It's about the high school game. It's about the high school coaches. It's about the high school players, and it's about their successes on the field. So we thought it was a very positive way to promote the kids.
So that's LALJ.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking before about LALJ and the live streaming.
Yeah, they all work hand in hand. I mean, that's one of the reasons why the relationship that we've built with you and your network has been so advantageous to the growth of, I think, the growth of the game on Long Island.
Yeah, we were talking to Rob about this on Fridays. Like, if the LALJ is ESPN, BYG is kind of like SportsCenter, which is one of their most infamous shows, which is a segment that so many people tune into for a lot of reasons, because they have their top 10 and they show highlights. They're one of the first ones to show highlights from games, and they promote the sport in just like a very unbiased. They incorporate so many different sports and genders, and they got some really good stuff on there. So it's kind of like a segment of what we do with the LALJ.
And then, they have shows that are like the shows that we're doing, that we do at BYG at times when there's conflict. So they talk about, two different sides to a conversation, like we spoke earlier about the young man who decided to transfer. So they have shows of all levels, and we're trying to do the same thing and not give, we'll give our opinion.
Yes. Yeah, we try to also talk about, like you said, some of the more difficult conversations that go on in sports, like racism in sport, or when a kid transfers, or arguments between a coach, or fighting in sports, or all these things that kind of surface that aren't necessarily talked about, especially at the high school level, because everyone thinks because they're amateur athletes, you know, that they shouldn't be discussed on media. But when things are so prevalent and they occur, you know, consistently year after year, season after season, regardless of the sport, we feel as though it's, you know, it's worth talking about.
The parent part is also a very big part of our platforms. You know, we spend probably, I would say we probably spend more conversations in our daily life of our business talking about parenting. I think that's the number one subject, both on the positive side and sometimes, unfortunately, on the negative side.
I want to go back a second. How you use digital marketing to drive your demographic to all the different platforms.
Mm-hmm.
How do you drive people to watch your programming, to read your journal? How do you drive all that?
Well,
what are the nuts and bolts of that?
yeah, well, like if you take social media for an example, like you can build a relationship with, you know, let's say a student athlete by promoting them because they just committed to a college, tagging them, and then maybe doing a follow-up with them like, hey, let's hear your story. Why did you commit to this college? What's your background? Where are you from? Who is your influences? And I think through the media and by promoting specific people, you can really build relationships one by one by one. It's something that takes years because think about that. Like, that's just one post you do on one day with one person. Like, what's really the impact of that? But if you do, let's say, 100 of those in a year, and then all of a sudden they talk to their friends about something we did, and all of a sudden their friends start following us. Right, so it's a ripple effect.
So you're saying it's consistency.
Yeah, you gotta be consistent and persistent. That's like the biggest thing.
But is it all organic? Everything you do organic, or is there any kind of digital marketing that you do?
No, we do digital marketing. That's what we work with Pep. I mean,
Who?
you know, Rob Pepe.
Okay.
Who's Good Pep, which is a great digital marketing company. We decided to outsource that because they're experts. And though we were doing it in-house, we weren't experts. So we brought in an expert who we believe in. We believed in him as a human, and we believed in him as a quality guy who knew what he was doing.
So what you're saying is you have to know what your expertise is, and what your expertise isn't, you have to bring in people who are
100%
better than you
100%.
at what they do.
100%.
To guide you.
We have coaches that we consider experts that come in and help us coach kids. We have, we'll call a college coach and ask him their opinion on something. We might have an opinion, but we want to hear their opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, you're the perfect example. You're the expert in the media world, and we brought you in, or you brought us in, however you want to look at it, and we've built a relationship because I think it's an honest relationship that we both learn from each other.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely true. Absolutely. And I noticed that my working with you and you're working with me, it's about common goals, and I really don't think about the money first.
I don't think you can, because
that's not who we are.
It's tough to take risks when you think about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we probably wouldn't try half the stuff that we do if we're like, yeah, I don't see the return right away. I don't know if that's going to happen.
You can't.
Yeah, I think it's tough.
Speaking about returns, you set out to use media and the social media platforms to grow your business. But now it's going past that. It's becoming a business.
You mean the media part?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
What's going on?
Well, these platforms, we have a 500,000 people viewing the Long Island Lacrosse Journal.
It hasn't even been a year.
It started March of 2019. I mean, we're at what, 9 months?
Mm-hmm.
And 500,000 people are going to the LALJ, and I mean, it's crazy. So this is now a way for us to help other businesses market. The Lax Works, Epic, all these companies can now market all these lacrosse people, because you know who's coming to the LALJ.
Right.
You know what I mean?
People who are interested in lacrosse.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you're a brand that wants lacrosse players, and there's different demographics,
like
Raleigh Lexus wants lacrosse players.
Why?
Because that's who's buying their Lexuses. You know what I'm saying?
Players?
Well, their parents.
Oh, okay, got it.
You know what I'm saying? It's
right.
a demographic.
That's
we got Joe's Auto Body Shop, on the fringe of Dix Hills and Deer Park. He's advertising with us in the Dix Hills community page. He's a local advertiser because well, he's an ex-lacrosse player. He's passionate about the sport. He wants to give back to the community, but he's like, here's a captive audience of people that anyone that plays lacrosse or as a kid that plays lacrosse or likes it in the area, like they're going to go and see his brand all over the place, which is going to really help him out.
I think at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you're working. I think partnerships are very important. You got to work together to be successful. Can't be a one-way street. If it's a one-way street, it never works. I don't care what it is.
Right. It's not transactional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not.
It has to be you're partnering with somebody.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, I find in my business, people who work with me are just as much my customer as I am their customer. And the same with the clients that I choose to work with.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like as much a customer-seller relationship. It's really more partnering.
Yeah.
And it has to be like that.
I said,
And you have to treat people like that.
I tell
Sure.
Corey all the time, I don't want to do business with people I don't like.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, in the select business with lacrosse, when you're telling a college coach you want to recruit that kid, if you don't like the family, generally you're not going to tell the coach a lie. You're going to say, no, they're not a quality family. So you don't want those people in your program
Right.
because you want to help the kid and you want to tell the coach the truth. And the truth, you want it to be positive.
Yeah.
Same way you're doing business.
So, so how are you building? How are you turning this into a business on its own?
Yeah, well, I think we're networking with a lot of local and big businesses in our kind of in our field, and then also just locally, geographically, saying, hey, do you want to partner with us? We have this really captive audience in a sport that's exploding, and this is one of the largest hotbeds in the world for lacrosse. Like, if you want to get your brand out there, and if you want to drive traffic to whatever it is that you're doing, whether it be online or on social media, or on YouTube or wherever it is, like, this is a really good place to do that. And we've gotten really good feedback for the people that are interested in that sort of thing. So.
Do you ever foresee someday down the road that the media platform could be bigger than the original business?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Why? How and why?
Because as you know from being in that business for a long time, the media business can continue to grow from we'll call it a regional base to a national or, world base.
You know, it's
global
really
base.
funny. I'm just going to interrupt you for a second. I have people in the lacrosse world following me because of you. I don't know anything about lacrosse, but I get people wanting to connect with me all the time in
Good.
the lacrosse world because of you. I had somebody today.
Oh, yeah?
I don't even know who it was, but but some guy connected with me today on
What,
LinkedIn.
like through LinkedIn?
Yeah, and then I had some guy who runs some Israeli lacrosse league
Oh, yeah.
connected with me.
Absolutely. Team Israel just played Harvard and Boston last weekend. So.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how that all carries through.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But you were saying before, I think I interrupted you.
Well, no, you didn't interrupt, but it's like obviously we're regionally based, and right now Long Island is really all we really care about, to be
Right.
honest with you.
Right.
Even though we love the sport and the growth of the game, but who knows where it'll take us?
Well, but it is becoming bigger. I mean, the example is me with some Israeli
Yeah.
guy who runs an Israeli lacrosse league.
Well, Corey got contacted from a Midwest lacrosse program that wants to talk about how we've grown the media presence in our world, and he's obviously following what we're doing, which is cool.
Right. So the exposure that you're getting is now, instead of just Long Island, just the North Shore of Long Island, just Huntington, now it's global. It's Africa, it's China, it's Japan, it's Hawaii, it's California, it's Texas.
I
It's
hope
all
so.
over.
I hope so. It only helped the game.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think people turn to this area to see what's up when it comes to lacrosse. So it only makes sense for these different pockets around the country and the world to kind of see the personalities and characters and figures and stories that are coming from what is Long Island lacrosse.
Why is lacrosse growing so quickly?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it has the most growth potential because from a high school sport, it wasn't in the whole U.S. Not all high schools had it like, let's just say, basketball. You know what I mean? Or soccer. Those sports, almost every high school has those sports. Lacrosse wasn't one of those. So it has more growth potential. So obviously it's going to grow. You can't compare it to baseball. Baseball's already in every high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the sport's growing because when people get to watch it, I mean, I don't know. Do you watch it now?
I'll watch just like I watch football. I'll watch like the Super Bowl. Lori and I were kind of watching the
PLL championships.
on NBC, right, Lori?
Yeah, when we were on vacation, we were watching it.
I was
Yeah.
I was actually so impressed. Well, for me, I was looking at it for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
I like the game, but I was also going, wow, that looks pretty freaking professional.
Oh, they're
I've never
awesome.
seen
They
anything
do
like
an
that.
awesome. PLL did an awesome
Good
job.
camera angle.
the whole
He had a very good commentator.
Everything.
Who was doing, he really, I mean, if you were channel surfing,
Yeah.
he made you stop.
Was that Chuck Lott?
Chuck Lott is more the stadium guy.
Or he was more in the stadium?
Yeah, but
Didn't they have a
Chuck
camera?
Lott
Or
is
they didn't have a camera on
freaking
him?
awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
Who's that?
Chuck
I
Lott.
thought they had a camera.
Yeah,
on
I
him.
heard you talk about.
He just he just like fit right in.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a lot of experience in lacrosse, but he really picked it up and he's become
Yeah, the PLL's got something. I can tell you something right now. The PLL has something, and if they continue to stay focused
Yeah.
on their mission,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a huge success.
I would so love, and we've talked about this, to get a live game feed in here and have you guys commenting on the game.
Yeah.
Well, who knows if that'll come, but I think
How awesome would that be?
we would love
We don't
it.
even have to go to the field. We have the entire screen here, and we cut back and forth.
I like to do high school. I got to be honest with you. I would rather do high school because that's true to what we love.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are great. I mean, obviously Corey played at that level, and he knows how good these guys have to be that good.
Right.
But to watch a high school game, like I am really excited. Like we talk about it all the time about what's going to happen this year in high school lacrosse. On
and
Long
you
Island.
push that on the media platforms.
100%. We're gonna.
Would you say that's like your bigger demographic then? Are the high school kids and high school parents over college?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
we've grown by demand into the colleges.
So you've let it take in you where it's going to go.
Yeah, yeah. So like in our newsletter we send out once a week, we're now featuring a New York college,
Yeah.
one male or female lacrosse program every week because people want to know more about what's going on locally in college. So we're kind of giving the people what they want.
Well, it would be really awesome if we could get a high school game feed and you guys sat there and you commented on what was going on in the game.
We could do that.
Yeah,
we
you
could
should-
do there.
You should be able to pull that off, right, Cliff?
Yeah. Well,
We could pull it off here. It's a matter of getting some high schools to say, yeah, we'll give you the feed. You can comment for us.
100%. It's just getting one of those
I just think it would be fun.
media companies that would want us to promote their.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem. They don't realize that you work together to be successful. You don't work. It's not like, okay, I pay you $3,000 and then I hope you get $5,000 in return. No, let's work together and talk about how that can happen. Because
Right.
if it can't, let's not do it.
Well, if there's anybody to do it, it's you guys because you like partnering.
Well, you have to.
Right.
I mean, the success of Laxworks is the perfect example. I mean, guys like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Tell me about Laxworks.
Laxworks is a company that he developed. Tom Schaefer developed the best rebounder in the game of lacrosse, and we love the product.
I wish I had a video of that here because we could have done that.
Yeah, well, we'll post it another time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we
I mean, he's done an unbelievable job. He's a great guy. He's a guy he's in the fiberglass business, and he came up with an amazing product.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been telling everybody about him. I've been telling all of the retailers.
And that's
to
the
carry
power
it.
of the media.
100%.
Yeah.
And the power of really believing
Right.
in what you're talking about.
Right. So where do you see this going? The media. And we do have a digital marketing expert here if you wanted to get him involved at all in this conversation.
Well, I
I
mean,
do.
I think Pepe is the guy who knows it best. I mean, Pep helps us with, other people that are in this world.
Frank, if I give number 4 to Rob, can you get him on?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Just talk amongst yourselves. I'm for class.
Should we whisper or let everybody hear it?
Let's get Rob on the show.
Rob's going to be, I don't know if we can get him on camera or not, but I mean,
Here, you want to take this? That's probably for the best.
what's that?
No, Pep. What are you talking about? Pep just got engaged too, by the way. Why don't we show Pep? Why don't we show your engagement on the beach?
Oh, yeah.
You don't have that?
The video hasn't been released yet.
No, it hasn't been released. The GoPro.
Still going
Did you hear this story?
No.
Oh, Pep will tell you.
Okay. Frank, I need I need the PTZ on preview.
Oh, that's this baby up here?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. He doesn't have a lot of time here, so let's get him on. Lori, we're going to go off of you for a second.
See, he's engaged. He's got to be home at a certain time.
Let's begin to do this.
That was before the engagement.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, you're turning it. Yeah.
Frank, it doesn't want to turn that all that
It only
way.
wants to see Lori. Oh, there you go.
Whoa.
There we go.
Let's see.
Oh, that's cool. We'll get in the Pep. There's the Pepster.
Oh, there he is.
Okay. Does he have his mic on?
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, I'm going to zoom while he talks.
Yeah, Cor, why don't you talk to Pep about all of the great things he's been doing for our business?
Well, I believe the question was, where is this going, Peppy? So you got to tell us about the future right now. About where
The
you-
future of FLG and the brands?
Yeah, talk a little bit about and also about the future of just media and the proliferation of LILJ and BYG.
Yeah, well, I think that brands are going to be increasingly more, involved with the digital space and what they can do to really promote their business. And I shouldn't say it's easy, but there's a low barrier to entry, right? Creating content can be as easy as creating a tweet, making a Facebook post, but then you guys have brands like you that are taking it a step further, creating video content, commentary, podcasts, and things like that. I just love what you guys do, just because it's much more scalable, in the sense that it's very easy for you guys to gain readers just through one actual post or a certain topic that you guys are promoting, and that to me is how I could see you guys growing, and a lot of brands. It's just you're bringing another aspect of content or another touch point to be able to communicate with your potential customers or potential advertisers, and I think that that's a big play. If you guys were going to grow tenfold by teams, you'd have to hire more coaches, you'd have to get more field space, you'd have to get whatever it is, more kids to play, and more backpacks to give them out, or whatever that is. But in reality, if you're able to partner with the right people and you're able to keep putting out more content, it's very easy for you guys to get more readers. It's just as long as your website hosting is good to go, and you can handle the more traffic, and then you guys start attracting bigger sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really why I think that what you guys are doing is a very it's, I shouldn't say it's ahead of the time, but for a local brand like what you guys were focused on creating local. Getting local customers, it's much easier to expand to a larger demographic. So,
From that perspective, I mean, when you talk about some of the brands that you've worked with, that are national, not just regional, I mean, how did they grow their brands? I mean, through the digital marketing that you do for them?
Yeah, I mean, well, I always say digital marketing is a complement. Ads won't, take you all the way. You have to have obviously a good product, and you have to have a good head on your shoulders from a company standpoint. But what we're able to do is sort of help that initial sort of nudge and make sure that your product or service is getting put in the right place, and it's also targeting the right people, which obviously is important. But to me, I always think of ads as a compliment. I like to get I look at ourselves as a consultant, more than just like a digital marketing company or a web design company. I like to kind of see what else is going on in the company, and then sort of pick and pull pieces and start to ask questions to sort of get a better feel for what they could be doing and how that can be related back to the digital ads. And I think a great example is you guys with your recruiting service. I got to get a better understanding of what you guys were doing from a recruiting service standpoint, and how you're actually impacting these kids, and how you see them through not just one season, multiple years, and getting them ready for that college. And then you have a perfect example with what Corey went through. I mean, you've been through that with, dozens, hundreds of kids, it's just and that to me is, I didn't understand that until I actually sat in your office and spoke with kids, got an understanding of what that process is like. But that's really how you get to, help grow a business. You understand what they're doing from the inside, and you're able to kind of think differently from that perspective, knowing what their goals are, and what they're trying to accomplish.
This is all about the partnering and how you build a media platform and a brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And I think what I like about you guys, is that you're smart enough to know that this is not about a sale next week. Thank goodness Shelby is here.
God bless Shelby. By the
Yeah,
way.
God bless Shelby.
But that means
God-
you're telling the truth. When they sneeze,
Yeah.
when you're talking, it means you're telling the truth.
Oh, okay.
Someone told me that once, right?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Right. But this is about all the media you're doing is about building the relationship so that when it comes time to sell something, to do something, you're trusted because you've been consistent, you've been true, you've been honest, and you surround yourself with the right people. And that brand is just, it eventually will proliferate and it will explode. And I know that you guys keep doing what you're doing, your platform is going to explode. And I know that it's already growing like crazy, and now it's becoming a whole new business, which is just so, it's almost mind-blowing to me, because who'd have thunk,
Yeah.
right, that that's what would happen.
Yeah, I agree with you.
When we first sat down with you on Anatomy of an Entrepreneur, and we met you, I think,
Spring of 18? I think it was spring of 18.
Yes, that was
No, I think was it?
a little early.
Yeah.
Spring.
Was it in the spring?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
So that was about a little over a year ago. It's changed a lot in a short period of time, for sure.
Lori K. I'm trying to get the camera over to you. Do we have any questions?
No,
Comments?
I think you guys do so well because you're good people.
Well, thanks, Laura.
I mean, really, if you're, for a parent to come in and to meet either one of you, both of you are very approachable. You give great respect back to the people that you're dealing with. And I think when you walk into a business, you don't really know maybe what you want, and somebody is accepting and very nice and compassionate and understanding, as both of you on each two different levels. Mike is one way and Corey's another way, but you're so approachable that you make them want to stay. You know what I mean? And I think that's another reason why your business does so well, and people recognize you because they're like, oh, Mike and Corey Winkoff, because you're genuinely just very nice people, and you're willing to go the extra mile and take the extra time to help somebody, a parent and or a child, and people recognize that.
And it carries through to all the
Yeah,
media
it
platforms.
does. I agree.
I believe that it carries through to the media
It does.
platforms.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can see who's real and who's not, just like in real life. It
Yeah.
might be a little tougher.
Yeah, especially when you're dealing with kids. I think kids can
Yeah.
sniff that out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Kids and dogs.
Kids and dogs.
Shelby's got a lot
Especially
to say
Shelby the
tonight.
dog.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else that you want to, any other light you want to shed on the
I just
subject?
wanted to thank you. I think it's important that you realize, to be successful, you need a lot of people, and you've been a big advocate of ours.
Absolutely.
As well
Well, I
as,
believe
as
in you
well
guys.
as we talk about partners. You're the optimal partner.
Well, thank
so
you.
I appreciate it.
And it's not just me. I could not do any of this. I could not do all this without Frank, without Joe, without Lori. It's not real. It's really, I'm just only a part of this.
Yes, you are a part, but you're a big part.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. So, you guys have a show tonight.
Yep.
Yeah, we're getting going at
It's going to be
about
pretty.
an hour.
I got to tell you, your show is going to be very snazzy.
Yeah, we got some good stuff.
I mean,
The
technologically,
Streamcast
it's gonna be
network is pulling out all
snazzy.
the stops for this.
We are pulling out all the
Yeah.
stops, but don't worry, you'll get the bill.
We're waiting for it.
I
worth
need to
it.
make a little cash,
No worries. You deserve it.
Yeah,
it
so we're going to look forward to seeing you guys at 7:30 p.m. on
Eastern time.
Eastern
We
Time.
might have some
BYGlacrosse.com.
BYGlacrosse.com, right.
live.
Technically directed by Frank J. Parisi. Next week, we have on a very, very cool guest. He is I think he's the dean of the Department of Institute of Instructional Technologies at Bloomberg State University.
Cool.
And he's a professor there, and he's like the father in learning of something called gaming and gamification.
Sweet.
And so he's going to be actually coming here from Pennsylvania, and your show may be a little late, might be a little late, only because he may be rolling our show into his online class.
Oh, very cool.
So I got to speak to Carl about that, but that's what we were talking
Oh, we
about.
got a big
doing.
guest next week too, right, Cor?
Yeah, we got Kylie Ohlmiller coming up.
KO 17.
Very cool.
One of the leaders in lacrosse.
So we'll look forward to doing that, and we appreciate everybody who is watching our show tonight, and the questions were just,
they're flowing.
Beyond
they were just beyond the game.
the game.
Yeah. And we'll see you next Tuesday with myself and Frank Parisi. Maybe even Joe Lavolsi will show up. And, of course, the effervescent and lovely and talented hairstylist to the stars, Lori Ann Kelleher.
Oh, my God, he's torturous.
Frank, are you ready to roll the credits before I get into more trouble?
Yeah.
Okay, have a great week, everybody.